Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
How's everyone doing? We're a tad late because it was my fault. I forgot to send Andre the link. It's those minor details.
You didn't miss it by much. What, a minute, 2 minutes?
I'm sitting, you're usually right on time. I'm like, I'm going to talk trash about him in a minute. And then I thought, oh, wait a second. Did I send the link? And when I was going to look, and I'm having a heck of a time signing on to Comcast lately. They've done some weird, they think it's an improvement, but I can't find nothing. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Hi. Hi, Island Princess. Hi, Sandy. So, hey, do we got something to talk about or what?
Yeah.
I love it. And if you'll notice, Merrick Garland said that this Jack guy, and I like the name Jack, he said he will address everyone, not just Trump, anyone involved in the insurrection. Oh my God, they're bouncing off the walls, the repubes, they're bouncing off the walls.
Yeah. It's he said it didn't apply to the people that are being already prosecuted, the ones that broke into the Capitol.
Right.
That's separate, but he basically pointed to all his helpers, people like Eastman and Clark and Giuliani and the Kraken lady and that whole crew.
Right.
They're clearly involved. So there's that. But the other thing is that he said that and the record scandal, and my feeling is that the record scandal is easier because there is more ready available proof. And I don't know if you heard, but one of the things about this Jack guy is that he prosecuted someone in the CIA who mishandled records. So he's experienced in the matter. So I'm sure Trump is thinking, I
know. What happened to our names on? Oh, there you are. Okay. So did you get a chance to look and see when Jack's birthday is, or?
I can't find it. I've looked and I don't see anything anywhere. There was a site that claimed to know what it was, and they said 1943, which is not possible. The man is not 80 years old.
He's not born in 43.
So I did see 1969. It said that in the Wikipedia entry somewhere there's a mention, but there's no specific day yet. But I'm sure now that he's front and center, it'll be a matter of days before at least
they put out where he was from.
Yeah,
because there's some pictures he looks younger and some he does look older.
Yeah, and he looks like a pretty focused guy. So
yeah, and even some people said I was with him at and these people are in their late 50s, 60s. So he probably is in his 50s or 60s.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably true that the 69 thing sounds pretty accurate. He's probably early 50s.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, this lines up with Trump's chart because the next...
I can't wait, you guys.
The point that comes up now in February, March is really, really tricky, for being called to account. And so that's one definite possibility that it comes down then in some major way, or just news emerges that sort of cements the thing further. And it's not like things get better after that. They don't get better. There'll be lulls along the way, but I was looking at his patterns and they extend for years and years. It kind of goes from one problem to another. It's almost like the planets are sometimes ganging up and sometimes playing tag team, like where one will leave, the other one takes over. Then they, plow in together. It's just too complicated. Always in the context that, I mean, the man is a criminal. He's constantly committing crimes. So, what happens when you commit crimes? Prosecutors look for you. It's not that complicated,
Isn't that interesting, though? He did say, because Trump announced his candidacy, I almost thought, I almost felt that would push Merrick Garland, like that might be something, and it was. And I had a reading, or I did read for the group. The last time I did a reading, I said, something's coming up. Something for Trump is coming up. Like, I felt like, surprise. I even kind of felt like he would get hit, but we always talk about that, but he would get subpoenaed or something. I'm thinking January. How does January look for Trump?
January works because, like in astrology, when you have an aspect locking in February, January, this is like, I often say to people, astrology, think of it as like horseshoes and grenades. You don't have to be, right on the grenade. I mean, if it's in the room, you're in trouble. So once it's in the vicinity, because it's kind of the thing where sometimes you go, well, yeah, it happened exactly precisely when the aspect closed. And other times it's more like it's a little before, and then he's screaming and yelling, and then some February thing, some other thing. But the main point is he's in trouble. It's right. It's right. So yeah, so it works. Let's just say that.
I don't know why, and I usually don't get hits on times that well, but for some reason I felt January. Yeah, and I felt Mueller is going to get some satisfaction from this.
Well, I mean, think about it.
You can't compare Mueller to him, by the way.
Sorry,
you can't compare Mueller to Jack.
No. Well, different situations. Like Mueller was really hampered by people like Barr. The entire Republican crew was trying to stop it, but now, there's no such thing. And keep in mind, this guy's coming in where Mueller had to go from scratch. And remember, it only took Mueller 6 months, and he started dropping indictments. Right? He was put in May, and by December, Flynn was going down, and the other person was going down. Only a few months. And Mueller had to do it from scratch, getting all the info. This guy's been handed everything, videos, papers. I mean, he can walk in the room and just start looking at all the evidence. And then maybe he can call in some people, but he's got it already ready. So can you imagine? That's like a prosecutor's dream. And here it is, all the crimes.
Well, that's why they're going to defund let me tell you, before they change houses, before the new people come in, this guy will be plenty funded. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
I'm not seeing any problems with funding. I see them moving heaven and earth to try to stop him, but they're not going to be able to.
I mean, the thing is that part of what's going on, that I sense is there's deep division in the Republican Party because, for example, a guy like McConnell, even though he has said, unbelievably, he said, I would still back Trump because I'm obliged to, which is insane since the man is a criminal. But I think McConnell would rather see him go. So if they start getting into games where we're not going to fund DOJ or some crazy thing like that, probably they'll get opposition from other parts of the party, and it'll be too difficult to carry.
But I was feeling very strongly that this new Republican House is not going to be all jumping up and down for Marjorie Taylor. Did you see she's making all these announcements like she's the chair, like she's in charge of them?
Yeah, I mean, what can end up happening, I mean, I'm not 100% sure of the mechanics, but if McCarthy has any brains at all, and I'm not sure that he does, that's part of the problem, because I think no, seriously, I mean, I'm not kidding. The man is not that smart. This is one of the reasons they're having so many problems, this party, right? But if you were smart, the way you threaten Marjorie Taylor Greene is you say, look, we just lost an election because of idiots like you. And so there's no benefit to doing this. So if you're not going to back me, I'm just going to get Democrats and I'll pass legislation with them. And you know what? We're going to have better odds going into 2024 because if I follow you guys, we're going off a cliff,
Well, actually, McConnell said that out loud. He said the people have spoken. Yeah. Even if they're not thrilled with Biden, they weren't going to go to our side because of the chaos.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, I when you lose every, I mean, Trump is a genius. The man is unbelievable. All of his candidates lost. I think, well, no, maybe J.D. Vance. He got it.
Well, most importantly, all the who's the ones that are in charge of that voting? All of them lost.
Oh yeah, the secretaries of state.
Secretaries of state.
Yeah.
That was.
And Carrie Lake. You know Carrie Lake with her.
Oh,
with her
she's
big
gonna,
mouth.
she's gonna
Now,
sue.
I mean, isn't it great when you say, well, I don't like the results? Okay, well, then, first of all, you have two problems. One problem is that the people that are tabulating them are actually Republicans and they're telling you no, that they're
Right.
fine. And then my second question is, where's your evidence? I mean, you're going to have to present something, to show us. I mean,
Oh,
what?
it's like on Twitter, somebody said to me, I said something. They said, where's your evidence? Or show me your evidence. I can't remember what it was. And I said, oh, you mean like all those judges that asked all these people, where's the evidence that the thing was rigged? Where is it? Give us something so we can go on it. One guy even said, he was Republican. He was for Trump. Sure. Hey, they said, you got to do this and you got to do. Sure. Now just send me something I can show them. Send me something that I can say, this is why we need to stop this process. And they never sent him nothing. It was in the car. It was doing this. When he said, to this day, I've never received it.
Exactly. I mean, it's remarkable that to this day, the entire thing coming out of the Trump camp is that there was fraud and they never show the evidence. It's just Trump saying, well, it's so obvious that there was. Well, no, it isn't. Show me something. Show me anything. Never. Not a peep. There's not like a single.
What do you think of that announcement that Trump made? He was very low key.
Yeah, although he's pretty agitated. I don't know if you saw that he says he's not going to partake in it, which is not his choice because you don't get to partake or not partake. When you're being investigated, you're partaking whether you like it or not. And then he said things like, he goes, well, we got to stop this. We can't let this happen. And, oh, this guy doesn't like Trump. The guy doesn't even know Trump. How does he know that Jack Smith likes him or not likes him? I mean,
oh, hell, you saw how bad they were on Mueller, and Mueller was a Republican, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, this is the untold truth. Is the remarkable thing is this guy's been saying this for years about how Democrats are doing it. Democrats didn't do anything while he was in power because the Republicans were in charge. And Mueller's Republican, Comey's Republican, Rosenstein Republican. They're all Republicans. And then you saw the January 6th committee, all Republicans again. So where are the Democrats?
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. But it's like he paints it, and his followers, they don't care what he says. It's like a cult. It's like Jim Jones. The next thing you know, he'll tell them time to drink the poison, and they'll all drink it.
I know, but
might not be a bad thing.
Andre, 3 losses, 3.
3, yeah.
He's lost all these houses. He loses. Yeah. What is he going on?
Well, I mean, by the way, I mean, I don't know if whoever, that party is, maybe someone like DeSantis will think if I go after this guy, it might damage my career. But if you go after him now, the way I would run against him is say, you're a loser. You do nothing but lose. So all I'm saying to the American people is if you vote for this guy, we're going to lose. It's that simple. So end of story.
End of story. But I do think that Satan is nervous because I think Trump has something on him.
Possibly. Although, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's an entire possibility. Though, in a way with Trump, even if he doesn't have anything on you, he'll start insulting your family. He'll start insulting you. He's a scorched earth person. So if he doesn't have something, he'll make it up. That's the other thing. You notice how many things he makes up that
just as he goes along, he lies while he breathes.
Yeah, he keeps saying now the latest defense. One of them is that all the presidents, George H.W. Bush took the records to the Chinese restaurant. Bill Clinton took them to the other place. I mean, again, no proof of anything. It's like this is the party of like pigs fly, and just believe me because I say so. There's no evidence.
Can I ask you, is somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene really upset because she's in on this? She was in on the insurrection and she's afraid?
I would say so because if you recall, wasn't that in the news? We saw in the news that people like Matt Gaetz, he was asking for a pardon. Why is he asking for a pardon?
They were all her too.
Yeah, right, exactly. So now this guy comes in, right? And again, I keep reminding people, relax, it takes time. You saw this thing with the blood lady, Elizabeth Holmes. They first caught her in 2015. She just got convicted 7 years later. They had everything. So what took 7 years? That's the way the law is, right? So now this guy comes in, this Jack guy, and what, you think he's not going to look at Matt Gaetz and Gomert and Marjorie Taylor Greene? They were doing things. That's a fact. We know. So what are the odds that he's not going to find something or someone? Because the other problem is once you get one of these guys digging and digging, he's going to look for people that'll point the finger at other people. right? So yeah, it becomes really scary. And I sometimes say about Trump, couldn't happen to a nicer guy, but when it comes to her, couldn't happen to a nicer woman, right? Because come
Right.
on, I mean, give me
So
a break.
this investigation they want to do on Biden and Hunter and all that, I'm not feeling anything. Well, if you think about it, I think unfortunately our Democrats will show up. They'll show up and testify to Congress.
Which Democrat?
Unlike they're going to call in all
Oh,
these.
yeah. Okay.
They're going to call, including Merrick Garland, and they're going to call them in and they're going to grill them. And unfortunately, they'll show up, unlike the Republicans who said, "Nah."
Right. But okay, Merrick Garland, as soon as he appoints a special counsel, they're going to say, well, you got to tell us. He'll say, no, I can't, because he's doing
It's still under investigation. Yeah.
Under investigation, right? It's how it is. So he, in a sense, has shielded himself. And as far as Hunter Biden, okay, so think of the logic. Okay, so Hunter Biden was in the news in 2020. And if you don't think that if there were something there, Bill Barr wouldn't have acted on it, then you're not thinking straight, because Bill Barr was trying to help Trump any way he could. He didn't move on it. Why? Because there's probably nothing there, or there's nothing.
It's just like with the Durham thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if Hunter Biden has committed crimes, then he should be held accountable. That's just the way the world works. But I'm suspicious that maybe they're making a lot more, noise than is warranted, because Barr would have acted on it and he didn't. And since then, nothing has been done. And now we'll see, what these guys present. But my feeling is this is like Benghazi Part 2. Benghazi was a joke. I mean, they would ask these unbelievable questions. They were saying to Hillary Clinton, were you at home at 2:00 in the morning? And she'd say, yeah.
And by the way, they even said they did that to try to hurt her campaign. It was all deliberate.
Yeah, to hurt her. And by the way, that's the way. See, this is the thing. There are shifting energies. Like back then, that kind of approach brought some results. I'm not sure that that's the case anymore, because one of the things that this malevolent, cockroach has accomplished for the country is that people are a lot more aware now. They pay a lot more attention, and they're not as easily fooled. They're a lot more informed, so they sift through things. Back then, there was less interest. And so you could do a thing where, because she's in the news and you're kind of pointing to her, it lowers her ratings. But I'm not sure that's going to work anymore, just because you haul someone before Congress, because now everyone knows what Jim Jordan is like and what, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like and so forth. So it's not going to be as easy to do Benghazi.
I really feel that this Jack guy has something on Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and that other guy, Holly.
Oh, Holly, yeah. Holly's
I feel like I can see them being scattered or something going on with that they were all. I think this guy is even going to announce who got rid of the panic button underneath the desk.
Yeah.
But I see Trump getting hurt more with the records. Yeah, I see Congress people getting hurt and senators getting hurt with the January 6th. I don't know if they'll plug Trump 100%. I'm not quite sure. But I see big trouble with the intel, stealing intel.
Well, yeah, that's the logic, which, makes it incredibly ironic when you think that this guy is, such a brilliant mind that he thinks he's Mr. Genius, and he goes and hands the Department of Justice the perfect way, to bring them to justice, because, things are a little more murky. It takes longer to establish cases or whatever. They say that, for instance, this guy that they have now, the Stuart Rhodes, the sedition charges, they're hard to make stick, because you can always kind of move around and say things that could be, it could be this, it could be that. But when it comes to records, there's nothing you can say. You're not allowed to do what he did, and you're not allowed to block the government from getting the records like he did. That's obstruction of justice. They were moving them around. This is not a good plan at all, right?
And also, he announced out loud, I took them because they're mine.
Yeah. Well, by the way, the latest argument his lawyers put through, you always kind of wonder, like, where do they get these ideas? It must be them, ordering them to make the case. And the latest argument is that because he took them, they're his, basically. The logic is he's like all powerful. So once he goes out the door, they're declassified and he owns them. They're not government records, which is opposite of what the law says. It's like almost like arguing I'm allowed to walk into a bank and rob it just because I think I can.
Right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
come on, please,
So do you think they'll actually get McCarthy as chair or whatever he's supposed to be?
Well, okay, so here's the thing about McCarthy, right? McCarthy has a very difficult chart in 2023, very, very problematic. And so at minimum, it's going to be total chaos, but there is a very good chance he gets bounced or stopped or, thrown out because it's hard. It's hard stuff. It's not an easy situation. And it's something we already see, even before we get to 23, because we know that I think, what is it, 187 out of 218 or 220 voted for him, but he has to get 218 to become speaker.
Right. But I see, mark my words, and we got 2,589 witnesses here. Mark my words, I really feel that not the whole group is going to be, yeah, let's get Hunter, I'm almost feeling some more rational. Not everybody's, and some people don't, a lot of them don't want Trump.
Yeah, well, one thing is that I've always felt from Biden's chart that the energy gets smoother, and you would normally think now, since the Republicans have the House, he would be facing a lot of problems because the first thing they announced was, well, we're not, like all of a sudden, inflation. We're talking about no more inflation,
no more crime.
Right. Now it's like we want to go after Biden. But what you say fits really well with the notion that there may be splits in there. And yes, they would say, no, that's not fruitful. And then they would marginalize the people that are trying to do that. But it's not going to be easy because it's more than 3 or 4. It's quite a few that are very MAGA driven, to help.
Yeah, Trump. But there's more of them than there are. You know what I'm saying? I'm really feeling that they're going to be furious because not everybody's going to walk the line for them.
Yeah, no, and that fits. It fits with.
I'm almost feeling like complaints from their constituents. Like, wait a second. Like even from LA, I mean, in New York, hey, we didn't put you in there to do this. We want you to work on the issues you promised you'd work on. We don't want you working on Hunter Biden. That doesn't make my paycheck better or the crime better. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm feeling like the people will say, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah, it totally,
thank you, friend.
Just looking at when you look at the head of the beast, McCarthy, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that he's got a very rocky road in 2023. It would be easier in 2024 if he gets that far. But the problem is that the way it is in 2023, he may not get out of 2023. He may just get, thrown out or maybe he'll quit, or I don't know. But it's complicated as heck.
But you would have seen real bad aspects with, by the way, our president's birthday is tomorrow, right? The 20th?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
So he's on the cusp of Scorpio Sag.
Right, but that's it's actually fine right now because Jupiter is at the end of Pisces. It's very supportive.
Right. He seems like he's in a great mood.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would say that the Democrats did exceptionally well. It would have been, in a way, it would have been better to have kept the House, except that if you think about it, the way these Republicans behave, they then set the stage for a potentially better 24 to throw them out. If you keep everything in Democratic hands, then you run against what's been happening. If anything at all goes wrong,
they'll blame them. Yeah,
they'll blame Democrats, and it's kind of like the way inflation happened, right? Inflation is related to the pandemic. It's related to world supplies, the supply chain and so forth. So then Biden gets blamed for that. It's not his fault. Any president there would have experienced the same thing. So now in the next 2 years, there'll be some other thing. They could pin it entirely on Democrats because it'd be all Democrats there. But now it won't be all Democrats there. Now we're going to see what these guys are going to do.
Well, they're going to waste so much time in that anger. It's just going to make people tired. People are tired of it already.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it may even be that the reason Biden's chart is smoother is precisely because of this, which sounds a little bit contradictory because the expected thing now is that they're going to, start the House and then Jim Jordan's going to be waving the thing and and Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be talking about space lasers and all that stuff.
Oh, and they're going to stop funding Ukraine.
Yeah, well, but then the problem with that is that there are a lot of people in the Republican Party that know that's a really bad idea. So if they start going down that path, I think they'll get a lot of resistance because.
But she's up there speaking on behalf of everybody, like she's queen for a day. Thank you, Indy. Like she's queen for a day. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
mark my words, this is really going to be up. Notice how it always works out. We may be upset. We may, even them not picking Merrick Garland and allowing him to be on the SCOTUS. Look what happened. And it's all McConnell's fault. He insisted on putting those, which thus changed the abortion issue, which just kicked out everybody because most of the states want abortion on the table.
Right. But by the way, this also falls into that pattern that when we were talking a while back.
Thank you, John.
That number of people intuited. I know when I looked at the astrology, I said 2 to 5 years, and some people said, "Oh, come on, that's too long." But you see, we've kind of walked into it because it's going to take time because that's not going to change until you get both houses of Congress again and the presidency. You need to go in and pass legislation, probably overriding the filibuster. It's not going to happen now, not with the Republican House. There's no way there's going to be a national no. So,
but mark my words, they're gonna make idiot. They could have been a contender, and they're gonna take this. They're not gonna go in this and be, let's do this, let's work on this. They're just gonna be all about, because they think we picked on, but there was a lot of Republicans too. They think we were picking on their guy because he's always the victim. It's a hoax, I tell you. I've been found not guilty. I've been found clean. No, you aren't. You were still impeached times 2.
The one that when you said earlier that you sense you're picking up that Mueller might come back into the picture. I really pray for that because that's the biggest scandal. The way that was played, it was because Barr said, "Oh, nothing here." But as I've reminded people, the Judiciary Committee, when Republicans were in charge of the Senate, issued a report saying, yes, that Hillary was hindered by the Russians and they were trying to help Trump. That's what the report says. They issued it, and then they started tweeting the opposite because they understand their people never read reports, right?
Well, no, they got hit by Trump. Trump said, you better change that language.
Yeah, well, you better change the message, basically. With Trump, everything is the message because he keeps saying it was a hoax, it was a hoax. No, it wasn't. It was not a hoax. It was real. That's what happened, right?
But he's blaming Republicans going against. Democrats, and it's a lot of it is the Republicans.
It's totally Republicans. One recommended thing for people to look at is there's I think it's a Showtime, the Lincoln Project. They show you how they started and how they were going through the whole thing, including a lot of scenes during the election and so on. And those are all Republicans. These are Republican men and women that were disgusted with Trump. And you see them hitting him really hard and angering and annoying Trump because he knew that it was getting traction. And there are people who do the stats and say that they probably peeled 3 or 4% of Republicans, which was the difference between Biden winning and not winning.
Even Murdoch went against him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but
totally
I don't see him winning ever as president. But do you see him? This would be good for us if he gets in the.
Oh yeah, no. This is the other thing that look at the guy's record, and just think about him running in 2024, and what that's going to do is instead of 82 million votes, probably Biden will get 90 million votes. You'll get even more people because just the percentages are such that Democrats, when they show up, always win by about 5%. And this is what drives the Republicans nuts. And Trump is.
Well, they want to change the voting to 21 now because the young people are voting.
Yeah, sure. Well, good luck with that. That's what I say. Good luck with that one. That's going to happen anytime soon. No way. So, but I really, the way Trump's chart is, I'm really skeptical that he gets that far.
I'm thinking he's not going to get that far either.
No. And he even has, it hasn't hit yet, but he's got health connections that aren't good. The planets at different times get into these alignments that are very health related. Yeah. you got to believe that the way he lives his life and with the pressures he's experiencing, I mean, he can fake it all he likes, but I'm sure he's quite worried that something really bad is coming
Right,
down the
right.
pipe. So I would be amazed, if he got that far. But if he does go that far and he's going to run, I think he's the best person to run against. Like anyone else against Biden is a bit dangerous because Biden is getting really old and, it's tricky. But if it's
Yeah,
Trump,
but he just is, I mean, yeah, he slurs his words a little because he has that little speech impediment, but look at everything he's getting done. It's just amazing. Thank you, Alicia.
yeah,
He just is getting it done. But I'm going to tell you guys, with our over 3,000 viewers, thank you guys for coming. Thank you very much. We're honored to be here with you guys today. But I just feel, I don't know why I'm in such a good mood. I just feel like all of this is working in our favor, but I definitely feel, now listen, this Jack guy apparently can't be the one that puts out arrest warrants. It has to be Merrick Garland. He'll do the thing and then he'll give his recommendation and then Merrick Garland does it.
I thought
Merrick Garland was upset that now he's stuck between this idiot deciding to run for office and announcing it 2 years in advance. People will be so tired of him by the time I don't see him in it. I'm seeing something else happening. But I do see subpoenas. I see all kinds of drama. And I do see some of those people in Congress getting hit. Thank you, Terry.
Wouldn't surprise me one bit, because the fact is that quite a number of them were involved, including people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz. And, well, why would they be asking for pardons? Just ask yourself that. I mean,
well, why are they so anal about this? I tell you, she wrote this big thing today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, about how wonderful Trump is. I'll tell you, between her and, by the way, I got a hit so strong. I know that Trump is talking to the one that just lost in Arizona. What's her name?
Carrie Lake.
I see him saying, she was just at Mar-a-Lago. I think he said, I'm going to have, just off the record, I'm going to have you as my VP.
Perfect. Yeah, sure.
So she's keeping it under her hat. He won't use Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, three toes.
Go for it. I mean, that's like that. A three-time loser and a more recent loser. It's the loser. It's the loser ticket. Come on, that is so. And they're going to be talking. Like, I love how this works, right? They're going to be talking about the past. I mean, everything is what happened before. We got ripped off. We got gypped. Where's the forward vision? It's Trump lives in the past. Trump is, he started out with "Make America Great Again," like we're looking back to when, the 1950s, when men were supreme or some such thing, and then now it's a more recent thing. What happened 4 years ago? He's always telling you about all his greatest hits. When he.
But his thing when he announced he's president, still "Make America Great Again and Again and Again."
Sure. Yeah. Make it
when you looked at Merrick Garland's chart, how does he look?
Well, the thing with Garland is that it also gets easier for him on account of being a Scorpio, but he does have some complications where it's probably better. What he did is smart, to put in a different prosecutor, because then it gives him cover, so there's much less appearance of bias and so forth. And so overall, it's better though than it's been, because the period leading up to this, or rather going up to the spring of next year, the Saturn is misaligned and it's a lot more complicated. So it gets easier.
Well, listen to this too. I really think he's going to, he knows how bad this is. And it makes him nervous because he was the ex-president of the United States, but it's bad. And so there's a good percentage of this country that still loves him. And it's like, how do I tell these people? And then now he says he's going to run for president again. He's not U.S. citizen. He's now possible candidate for president. So it's really put Merrick Garland in a bind.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that's probably why Merrick Garland put in the special counsel.
Right, but the special counsel's not, no, he's going to go right towards it.
Right, but also the thing is that it's almost like you could guess, if Trump hadn't announced, then maybe Merrick Garland does it himself. Now he hands it off, but he's handing off all the papers. He's giving this guy, look, here's what I got. It's not like Jack Smith has to go in and spend months
And
gathering evidence.
interviews and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because evidence is evidence, and prosecutors just look for ways to.
And this guy, he got some CIA guy. He'll Democrat or Republican. He don't care. He'll get you.
Yeah.
So listen, did you see PBS had Bill Barr on?
Yeah, what did he say?
Barr said, based on what I know,
that's a good one.
It's very likely the President Trump will be indicted.
Yeah, that's the thing. Whatever you can say about Barr, is he's at least clever enough to know, even though he was doing all kinds of unethical to probably even illegal things when he was.
He sure was,
general,
and he just tried to destroy Mueller.
Right, but he knew that going with Trump on that insurrection was a really bad idea, and he didn't go there. He backed off because I think he's got enough brains to know I'm not going to do this because I'm going to end up in trouble. Like people like Mark Meadows and these other guys, I think they're going to get in trouble because you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff.
It might be maybe not jail time, but it might be that they say, based on what is it, the 14th Amendment, you can't run for office. You were part of an insurrection.
Yeah, well, that would be, you mean for Trump?
Not for Trump, for
the other guys.
Taylor Greene and all of them.
Yeah,
it's in the Constitution. If you're part of an insurrection, you can't run for office.
Yeah, they're very possibly, undoubtedly. Yeah, I mean, this kind of thing. I mean, what people have to realize is that, think about it, right? You've got a country that's been around almost 250 years, and if you allow someone to just go in and try to overthrow the government, and you don't do anything about that, that country's not going to survive. You're taking the rule of law and throwing it out the window. And so the people that say they've put DOJ in an impossible bind because they have to do it, otherwise there's no way to hold up the system, right? So, yeah, that's what it is. And don't be surprised if you see the entire group, people like Roger Stone, this guy Bannon, there's probably more on him.
Bannon, what a pig that guy is.
Yeah, I mean, isn't he going to be reporting to jail for a while?
But he was so furious at what, this is all a hoax and this, it's terrible. Listen, I posted on my YouTube, I don't know if you saw it, a saying that President Ulysses S. Grant said. Check this out. He wrote this in September of 1875. Listen to this. If we are to have another contest in the near future of our national existence, I predict that the dividing line will not be Masons and Dixons, but between patriotism and intelligence on one side, superstition, ambition, and ignorance on the other.
Perfect.
And his wife, Julia, she dreamt before the Civil War, she was sitting with him and some friends. She said, I had a dream last night Ulysses became president, and everybody was laughing. But it's amazing. That I got a terrible crush on Ulysses S. Grant. I read anything, his work, I see any show about him, I'm just consumed with it. But I wanted to ask you about the Supreme Court. Apparently, there's more information coming out about a leaker. What was it about? Minnesota gas is $3.59. It's like still $5.79 out here.
Yeah, still more than that. That's cheap. Wow, you guys are lucky.
So did you happen to look at maybe Thomas or anybody lately, or?
No, the only one. Okay, I know that Thomas. This thing that he had a while back. He had some health problems,
right?
And that he's not out of the woods with that yet. But beyond that, I'm not getting anything around. Some people are thinking he would be getting into some kind of major trouble. I don't get a sense of how that would work.
No, listen to this. What was my prediction? I don't know if you did the same. I felt strongly, not only his health, but I felt he was going to have to step down because of something with his wife. Now think about this. We got Jack in there now. And if Jack is going to get into the insurrection, he might bring it out loud and clear that the Justice Thomas wife was in the middle of this.
Good point. I mean, the thing is that, yes,
she needs to be addressed.
Very true. Because the thing is, I can almost see this guy as time passes, he'll focus on her because she did some pretty strange things. And as soon as you start doing that, some other person will come in. Investigations are lethal when you've done things. I mean, if you haven't done anything, then maybe nobody pins anything on you. But when you've done things, then she was really out there on a limb. That woman was a bit cuckoo, sending.
They say she's crazy.
Well, I would say a little bit at least. Yeah, there's a kind of a. It doesn't surprise me she was part of a cult. She just gets drawn into some pretty crazy thinking because you think about that late 2020, what she was doing, trying to keep Trump in office without any evidence, without anything. It's almost like she was, reading information in some, backward website somewhere.
I wonder how upset she is that the Republicans didn't take the Senate.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that very upset because the more control they would have had, the easier it is to keep a lid on things. The other thing, by the way, is that keeping the Senate means Biden can continue to appoint judges, which I think
isn't that wonderful?
Is really helpful because you got to balance out, the fact that Trump appointed a lot of judges, so at least you get, a representation in the country, so you don't get all right wing. You don't get too many Eileen Cannons, in there that.
So what do you think about? I don't think Herschel Walker is going to win at all.
No, I think that it's going to be Warnock, and yeah, I think the Democrats will.
Warnock getting in there very comfortably.
Yeah, because he's not like.
In fact, Walker, I see Herschel Walker getting less votes.
Yeah, very likely. Very likely. Like he's one that you can see. I don't have times for either one, but you can see how. With Warnock is in a nice range and Walker is not. He's got Saturn on his sun, and the last thing you need when you're trying to win something is Saturn too close to your sun, especially when you're a bit of a dummy like he is, because he's really some of the stuff he does. I've heard recent commentaries about werewolves and vampires, and you listen to the guy, you think, what are you talking about?
I feel sorry for him because the guy, anybody with some sort of class would have kind of gently taken him aside and removed him off the stage. But they're pushing him up there, and they know the poor guy isn't right.
Yeah. But
I feel sorry for him.
Who did that though? Who was responsible for Herschel Walker?
Trump.
Yeah, Trump. And by the way,
that's someone he can just say, "Here, boy, here, boy."
Yeah. No, Trump thinks that if someone has been on TV, they're automatically suitable.
Right. But thank you. It's in the music. She's asking if Marjorie Taylor Greene will be. Have to be addressed on those government loans she took with PPP. Oh, we're not going to give money to Ukraine, and don't look over here with the money we took from the United States government for big business.
She's one that I wish I had a birth time for. I only know the birthday, but even with the birthday, there's
what is she? There. What sign?
I think she's Gemini. Which Gemini people, the dark side of Gemini is they think they can. Just say things, talk their way into things, talk their way out of things. That's what Trump does. Trump is all about communicating and messaging. I mean, I'm not saying every Gemini is like this, obviously, because it's always like two sides of a coin. But the dark side of it is when, the messaging is all corrupt. And he is both corrupt and, incredibly ignorant. She says, she was trying to say Gestapo and she said Gazpacho. Jesus, read a book, lady. Come on, at least.
Oh, and that Boebert's coming back in. I could have swore she wasn't going to win. But, you guys, I got all these hits. Now, I'm not going to try to make any. I apologize for getting the wrong hits. Apparently, the gal that does my record said I was 75% right on governors. We got to wait for see who wins. I think, like you said. Herschel Walker is going to lose, but that might be 70%. But last time I was 90%. But anyway, that doesn't matter. I have a feeling that maybe those people will be removed. And you know what else? When you were talking, and I get those hits sometimes, out of the blue, I felt like within a year, before Biden leaves, within 2 years, there's going to be a huge scandal with the Supreme Court.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I see a lot of commotion going on. It could even be just something. I see people running around. It's crazy. It's almost like two of them go down at the same time and Biden can put two in. Oh, they're going to be upset because they won't want Biden's picks.
Well, I mean, alone on when you see an institution where the wife of one of the judges, who is, by the way, really partisan. I mean, he's always looking for some way to help out any way he can. And when she's acting the way she's acting, that's pretty scary. I mean, talk about corruption in front of your eyes. I mean, conflict of interest. I mean, so that would not surprise me one bit. To see some problem develop. Yeah,
and it could even be like Jenny Thomas is in trouble. And then Thomas, which he should be in trouble. But I feel that other guy's in trouble.
Who, Kavanaugh?
The one that wrote that horrible thing about
Alito.
Yeah, something with him is coming up. I don't know what it is, but I could feel chaos. And I feel almost like he's forced to stand down.
Alito's an Aries. Alito, if I were looking at that, I'd have to look a little more closely. I'm just saying the thing that pops into my mind is when you're an Aries, it's when Saturn gets there, and it's after the next election when he's there. Because right now it's curious. Alito, when he passed this thing and he became the darling of the right, that's the Jupiter cycle over his sun because he's an Aries,
right.
And
also as that Water Lily just said, he's the leak. Someone was leaking to the public about even that letter about how they were going to vote on Roe versus Wade.
Alito?
Yeah.
Wow,
there's something that just came up. Alito was part of some other leak that happened. So they're showing that he's a leak.
That would be quite
the Supreme Court tries to not even look out. They gather everybody in and just don't pay attention here. Like that Wizard of Oz with the wizard. Don't look behind that curtain.
Yeah.
And something's going to open up the curtain. I'm telling you, something big is going to get ready to happen.
Yeah, and yet the Supreme Court, as flawed as we've seen, they've still denied Trump's, those Hail Marys that he throws where he asks for a ruling that just makes zero sense. They're not going to go that far. So you have to give them something they can work off. Like, for instance, when they pass gun legislation that is obviously unwise and they should be, use a little more discretion. And then they say, no, anyone can just walk around New York or whatever with, open carry. They'll do that. But if you go to them and say, like what Trump tried to do the Eileen Cannon routine on them, and they said, no, we're not going to even look at this. It's too
Hey, what happened with her? Anybody knows? Is she still in the middle of this or?
Well, what I remember about her chart is that what pops into my mind, this is really interesting because, when you said January, right? So January, I'm going, okay, well, that fits the Trump thing for sure because he's in the range. But her January is pretty bad. Don't know why, just that she's got pressure then. And, another person that has a really bad January is Tucker Carlson. I wonder why.
Thank you, Grace. Oh, my God, you're kidding me.
Because, you can imagine if something really, pushes into the Republican agenda, he's going to be really put off, by it because that's what he's like. He's constantly trying to.
I just had them throwing things out against Biden, and I saw Biden with a baseball bat, and boom, hitting it out the park. Every time they threw something, boom, hitting it out the park. But here's the one, you guys remember this one thing. If it gets to be if you start noticing you're feeling anxious and have anxiety at all, stop watching it, okay? Just stop. I did 4 weeks or something without watching any news, and it was nice. And then I start watching when everything happened. And when something pops up, I'll watch it. But I notice it's better because here's the thing. They're going to do that. Donald Trump, he gets all that free press. Mm-hmm. It's like, you guys need to ignore him. Just don't even listen to what he has to say. Ignore him. And you don't think we're going to hear about this Jack until they'll be standing outside his office running around like a bunch of crazy people for the news, But I just feel that this Jack guy is just going to, boom, that's it. Of course, we felt like that about Mueller, too. But I think Jack has got more leeway. He's not going to be stifled. Because we saw, did you see Mueller at the hearing with Congress?
I did, yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
God, the poor guy was so tired.
Yeah, the thing with Mueller, though, is that he's a career civil servant, and he knew that because of his department's policies, he couldn't really come out and say what he would have said if Trump weren't president, because the Justice Department has this thing, this memo, whatever, that you're not supposed to indict a sitting president. So he was talking in riddles, and he wouldn't come out and,
But he said, would you arrest him? I remember them saying, if it were you, do you think that Donald Trump should be arrested? And he said yes.
He did? Well,
yes.
I don't remember, but then it's correct. It's just that he couldn't. Like, the thing was that in the Congress presentation, he was not very effective, like the way, for instance, Comey would have been, because Comey's a lot more of a showman, and he would have presented it better. Mueller was a bit tentative, and that's when Trump, when he saw that, do you remember that this thing happened, and within days he was calling Ukraine to extort them? Like, he figured out, these people can't get me. I'm just going to go and commit another crime now. Right now, interestingly, here's another interesting thing. Trump, around that time in 2019, that in astrology is something that happens every 30 years. There's this lunation thing. He was having a new moon every 30 years. It happened right around the middle of 2019. And look what he did. He was committing crimes. And really, it was then that things started to downtrend, because he got impeached in 2019, and he got impeached in 2020. He lost the election. Everything is going south since then. So that tells you that beginning was a total crash, and it'll just continue that way.
And you said, of course, I said it psychically, but astrology, you said he's really he was getting away. And then boom, you notice that he'll start trending down, and he won't get away with nonsense anymore.
Yeah, no, and 23 is bad. 24 is just as bad. 25 is worse. This doesn't end. This guy is cooked for the rest of his life. He's done. I know that people keep saying, oh, he's getting away with it. Believe me, you don't want to be in this man's shoes. Do not.
No, it must be terrible. It must be awful. No. Well, thank you, my friend. We've actually been on for 52 minutes.
Yeah, it's been, as always with you, it's always a lot of fun, because we're tuned into the same,
Well, we don't even ask for questions. We just start. It just starts coming out.
True.
We go all kinds of places. You and Mel and Sterling and all the. It's just bada bing. When we start chit chat, we can't stop. Well, I can't stop. Well, 3,567 viewers. Thank you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
We really appreciate y'all stopping by, and I'll definitely be back on. When are you coming back on?
I'll be away most of the Thanksgiving week, so I'll be back the following week.
I'll probably even do a show Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, nice!
Eating a big old ass turkey leg. But
good.
Are you going away, or are you?
Yeah, I'm going away to California. It's not that far away, but I'm in Washington State, so.
Oh, okay, that's not far, and I'm in California, so don't come down for the earthquake.
No. What earthquake? What are you seeing an earthquake? Oh my Lord!
No. I'm just teasing.
By the way, we're in the same. We're in the
same fault.
That fault. Look, if anything, there's even a worse fault up here that cuts right through the city. So it's not like that if I wanted to escape it, I would go down to California. I'd have to head east pretty far. But this area is tricky. So
right.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
All right. Well, tell your family I said hi. I'm going to be with my sister and my daughter and my grandson and my sons.
Excellent. Yeah.
So, okay, you guys. But I'll be back on. So it's Astrology Alert is your YouTube show.
Astrology Alert. Yeah, that's the one.
And if they go there and they go to About, they can find out how to make an appointment. How's your appointments doing? Are you busy?
I'm pretty busy. Yeah. I'm just about always busy, and yeah. So
yeah, I had to stop. So.
Yeah, I know.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right,
bye,
everybody.
guys. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.